Hello, Twitch.
Hi, Twitch.
And all of these people that are in here as well.
Yeah. Welcome to Into the Streamverse. We're gonna talk about streaming TTRPGs.
Yay.
So first things first, I want everybody to introduce themselves and tell everyone what you do. Sure?
Not it.
Yeah, no, you're first, go. Yay. Yay, Nerd Asylum. Thank you for putting us on, Joe. I'm Crimson Pleasure. I'm the president of Real Women of Gaming. I do a lot of stuff. We do TTRPG shows on the weekends. We run charity events. We run a 12-hour Dungeons and Dragons charity event every year to raise money for the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And I'm literally put us on everything. So we're on YouTube and Twitch and Mixer, and we have a website, and we have a table somewhere in the vendor section. And I'm a streamer, and I do things. Waiting for my coffee to show up.
Mm-hmm. Coffee's important.
Yep.
Coffee is important. More coffee is important.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm next. So, hello, I am Orson Fells, one of the resident dungeon masters for Real Women of Gaming, as well as a streamer on Twitch. I do all sorts of D&D content on there, as well as with Real Women of Gaming, and help do stuff and things with them.
He is the DM of Alabaster Forest, which runs...
Oh, yes, Alabaster Forest. I am the dungeon master.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I'm Hallie. I am the DM for Terrible Party, formerly the Small Terrible and a Dragonborn Party, because my players suck when they name things. I just have to put that out there because everyone's like, you know what that acronym is, right? Yes, I'm clearly aware they think it's funny because they're jerks. We stream, started with D&D, but we've expanded into Monster of the Week and then various indie TTRPGs. Do charity events as well. We're getting ready for our July one. So, and Joe's gonna run a game for us there, so that'll be fun. So yeah, we do all kinds of stuff over on Twitch and then export everything to YouTube.
Yay.
Awesome.
And who are you? Bonnery.
I'm Vonry the Rogue. I'm second in command in Real Women of Gaming. I'm in our Alabaster Forest TTRPG monthly stream. I also am the editor-in-chief for the Real Women of Gaming website.
I make her do a lot of things.
Yeah. All right. So I have some questions for you all.
Questions.
Yeah, so many questions. So when and why did you start streaming TTRPG content? I'm not going to call on people, just start talking.
Okay. I can start.
Okay.
It's all your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real Women of Gaming, I'd been a helper for them with a lot of their live events and so on, and doing a home game with them. And they had mentioned a couple times about me possibly coming on and kind of hanging out, and I was already streaming and so on. So I decided to do it and ended up starting to run one of the games as well as playing in one. So, and then we also did New Seattle Rifts, which was, and I'm drawing a blank on the system.
City of
Why
Mist.
can't I remember the name of the system?
City of Mist?
City of Mist.
City of Mist, which was a City of Mist game, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was a wild ride. You guys took me for a loop quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so we did like a shorter series, and then Alabaster Forest is still ongoing. Lost is still ongoing. So it's their fault. They did this to me. And then I wanted to sort of expand on my personal things that I wanted to share with people, and started doing some stuff on my own channel as well.
We started doing TTRPGs. Lost is 4 or 5 years old. So I had always, once we had started Real Winnie Gaming in 2013 and we started streaming, I was like, we need to stream a TTRPG. And then it became popular because, some voice actors started streaming it. So I was like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. So we started streaming Lost. That's actually not true. We streamed 2 episodes of a Vampire the Masquerade game that went nowhere. But it has beautiful art.
We streamed 2 episodes. I thought it was only 1.
It may have been 1. I don't remember. And I still have to hit him for that. And then my husband, I was like so distraught. And then my husband was like, I can do a D&D game. And he did. So we started running Lost. And then from there we picked up Alabaster Forest. Then we started doing City of Mist. We did When Shadows Rise for a little bit, which was Buffy the Vampire Slayer system. I don't remember what that was. And then now we're doing Malhaven, which is All Flesh Must Be Eaten, which is a wonderful system with zombies. And then a couple years ago, 3 years ago, I was like, let's do this for 12 hours straight with famous people on the internet. And I say it like this because they're podcasters that you may have heard of. And we do that for 12 hours straight, and we raise money for the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia by like making people you donate, and you can seriously mess us up or help us. It's a lot of fun. It's actually my favorite event of the year. So yeah, and now I just force people to play TTRPGs all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, is that me or you, Joe? Do you want to go? Okay. We actually didn't start anything as far as streaming goes until we were about a year into our campaign because we were all terrified and we didn't know what we were doing. And so I did the whole trial by fire. We started as a group in August of 2017 and then started streaming about a year later. We'd been recording and putting things up on YouTube, but streaming was a whole like, oh God, our faces, what are we doing? Which was terrifying at first. And then we just wrapped up that campaign last month. So it kind of, we built our stream off of that game. And we started streaming because it was like, well, why the hell not? I guess we might as well just try it. And if no one likes us, we don't care. We're here to play games with each other and tell a story. And if someone digs it, cool. And it kind of grew from there.
Yay.
There we go.
Up phone. All right, Joe.
Sorry, apparently my microphone wasn't set up, but it is now, I think.
Yeah?
I'm an expert at streaming.
We can hear you.
We're professionals.
Yeah, you guys could hear me, but the stream apparently couldn't because it was just capturing the output and not the input. So
yeah.
I think I fixed it.
Are you even a real streamer if you don't have a full stream with your microphone muted at least once?
Right? I think that happens to me quite frequently.
So many recordings to that. Yep.
Joe, at least somebody told you.
Yeah.
People are like, oh yeah, I knew you were muted the entire time. Why didn't you say something?
3 hours
45
later. Minutes. Yeah. 45 minutes into a stream, Bonry comes in and goes, your mic's muted. And I'm like, there are 12 people in my chat.
Yep.
So, we actually started as a group separate from the Nerd Asylum. It was a gaming community called Lost Context, and there was a group of friends that decided to start a TTRPG session, and it wasn't streamed or anything. We were just playing, and that kind of winded down without finishing, and I wasn't done playing. I got back into it. I was really hype about D&D again, so I decided to game master a game for a group of friends, and it just kind of snowballed from there. We tried to stream a couple things here and there, didn't really get into it until 3 years ago in November. We found Extra Life, and we decided to go ahead and pop on and do an Extra Life game day thing 3 years ago. And we chose Riley Children's Hospital because I'm in Indiana, so that's kind of my home base. And it went so well, and it was so much fun that we decided to make that a thing. And then the content just kind of grew from there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, how do you find playing or DMing in a streamed TTRPG is different than playing or DMing one offline, like with your friends at a table?
There's so much more pressure, I think, to be entertaining, and it's when I'm just playing like in my Sunday game or whatever, like I can say whatever I want, I can do whatever I want off the cuff things and stuff like that. But when you're streaming, I put a lot more thought into what I say and what I do, and because it's not just about us having fun, because now we're entertaining as well. So
it's a show.
yeah.
Okay.
And everything you have to do is entertaining.
Right. And that's one of the issues, I think, one of the biggest issues with streaming Dungeons and Dragons is, you can make shopping interesting sometimes in Dungeons and Dragons, but how many times are players just like looking at a book or something, trying to figure out what they need? So it's about, I think the next two questions are kind of linked for me, because I'm very much more inclined as running the game to try and keep things moving. Like, I'll let the players, screw around for quite a while at home. But like, if we're in a show, we have 4 hours, I have, however many people watching the event, I'm like, okay, well, let's just I give them those. I'm more inclined to kind of keep things moving forward.
Yeah, awareness of dead air. Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
That's the big thing, because then you're kind of, I feel the same way. It's weird for me because I don't run games outside of streams. I have, but I don't, because our group is so very international that it's impossible. But for me, aside from the dead air, and then some of like the streamer etiquette, like making sure you're not like chewing into the mic, drives me insane. But some of that, outside of that, like for me, I've gotten so used to making my notes and making my stories with the background and that thought kind of in the back of your head, like it's a stream, we move a little differently than in person and you would around the table. I don't know if I know how to run a game outside of a stream, which is a weird thing to say.
Yeah, so you'd say probably like, I don't know if this, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but this is definitely what I do. Everything is a bit more cinematic.
Totally. Yes. Yeah.
Because you really want to make sure your audience sees what you're trying to get out there, right? It's a little different, I think, when you do a live show than a stream, but definitely with this, you try to make it as clear as possible. I think that when I'm running a game, I really try to focus on some of the smaller details when I'm explaining what's going on. I don't know, Vonry, do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because since you're in my game, so I try to focus on some of the smaller details so that like when somebody is actually watching us, they can have a better mental image of what's going on, right?
Atmosphere, yeah. Totally.
And if somebody just hops into the stream, they can often pick up pretty quick on what's going on around them. At least that's the goal.
Yeah. Joe?
Pretty much going to echo everybody else at this point. The biggest difference that I find being a player versus a GM on a stream, when I'm a GM, like everyone said, kind of keeping the flow of content moving at air. But as a player, I find myself more engaged when there's a stream going on to kind of interact with the other players and kind of it more of a
Mm-hmm.
I think being a player on a TTRPG kind of brings out the actor in me. I can imagine that playing a TTRPG, kind of imagine them actors or actresses, and playing a role. And I think having the camera on you and knowing, even if you don't have a lot of viewers, knowing that the camera's on kind of brings that out and makes you hold in action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, make things a little bit more dramatic than they need to be, or do things a little bit differently than you would in a normal game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so for our game masters, how does knowing the game is going to be streamed affect your world and story building outside of the stream?
Who all runs games here that's in the panel? Joe and Haley? Is it Haley?
Holly,
Okay.
Holly.
Holly. Thank
you're
you.
good. Mm-hmm.
Just making sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want to start?
Everybody but me.
I'm sorry, I was messing with my microphone again. What was the question? Apparently it was cutting in and out.
How does knowing that the game is going to be streamed affect your world or story building outside of stream?
I really don't know that it does. As far as the world building and kind of what I'm running right now is a module, so the world's kind of already built. Obviously, when you run a module, you kind of make it your own. But there's already so many things. It's a pretty popular one. It's Curse of Strahd, so people know kind of where things are at and what to expect. And while you make that world your own a little bit, people expect when you're running a module certain things in that module to happen. So I tend to focus more on the players and their backstory and their characters, because that's really what changes a module run game, is who the characters are and where they're going, what their goals are, what their motivations are. So if you focus more on that and less on the world, you get a unique experience from a module.
Yeah, I think that's fair. For me personally, so the way I typically run my games is I try to give the players a lot of agency over what's happening in the world around them. So I will often ask them a lot of questions. And that's in my home games as well as online. I think when I do it online, I do focus a bit more on making sure that I curate that process, right? As somebody that's kind of in charge of the world around us, I tend to just want to make sure that we don't go a little bit too off the rails, although sometimes that's okay too. But just make sure, because as you said with the acronym for your group earlier, you were talking about that, Holly, and just kind of reel them in just a little bit from time to time. I definitely like them to express their creativity whenever possible, but definitely bringing your players down to earth, if you will, is probably the main thing that I do.
A little grounding. Yeah. It's never a bad thing if it's done where you need it to be, I feel like. Yeah, I don't know that being streamed has streaming the games has really affected our storylines, because I'm a cinematic person anyways, and the story was kind of, the major plot points were kind of built out long before we ever decided to stream. So for that very first campaign, it was like, well, okay, they fell down a mine. This is just D&D. This is just how we're doing things now. It doesn't really matter. It would happen if we were playing around my dining room table, or if we were, playing on the stream. The wizard would have definitely fallen down a mine. So it doesn't really affect us.
Yeah.
Okay. So then for players, how does knowing the game is going to be streamed affect your character creation off stream?
I mean, okay, so as a DM that gets to play occasionally, I mean, we have some of the most off the wall character ideas, and I think that sort of plays well into streaming. Like right now, I'm playing a character that, you know, he's a halfling, and he has an alternate ego superhero called the Chimera. And I'll literally like jump into some bushes, pull down my cowl, and jump back out. So we take these like really strange ideas that we have, and we just like vomit it out in front of everybody, and are just like, just deal with it. This is what I'm playing. And it actually can make for some really entertaining and fun characters.
I don't think I've changed the kind of characters I make or play. I think I just play them differently. So Cathra was made up because we needed a healer in Lost. And she started out one way. She's a knowledge cleric, and she started out very like, you know, by the book and everything like that, and has slowly dwindled into insanity, where she just yells at people randomly now, which is more who I am personally. But I think I cater to her actions more, and like Ash's actions in Malhaven, of like what they're doing more so than who they are before the stream happens. So just make them I have a lot of characters, so I just kind of like make them as close to the cuff as possible, because I can't keep all of them straight anymore.
When I'm designing a character for one of our new projects, the first thing that comes to me is, what is this character's motivation, and how is it going to connect with the audience? Like, what is going to make someone want to listen to my character speak and develop, whether it be for podcast or streaming. It's really important when you're producing that character as a content, that the audience is able to find a connection with that character. So I think when I'm playing a character at home, I don't necessarily have to think of that. I can think of, oh, it would be really fun to combine these two mechanics and come up with a character for that. But when I'm doing a stream or a podcast, it really is important for me to kind of find that connection with the audience, and kind of build a character around the motivations and the psyche of the character, and kind of really get into that aspect of it, so that there's some character development that people can see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the one character that I play on stream right now is in Monster of the Week, which is a very different kind of game for anyone who's ever played it before. It's based off the Power by the Apocalypse system. And I try very hard to make characters that aren't action vacuums, that don't suck up all the air and take away from the other players, because you have to remember that there are other people involved in the story and have their own plot points and storylines and things that they want to do. So I try to fill a gap. Vivian is definitely that. For Monster of the Week, she's in the wronged playbook. She carries a shotgun everywhere. She's like, you need arms? I got weapons at the back of the truck. Like, we're fine. She's that person. Whereas a lot of the other ones aren't the fighters. She's like, I will shield everyone. You all do your weird magic crap that I don't understand. I will just shoot things. And that's kind of her role. And I like being able to fill that niche without taking away from everyone else and not being that action vacuum. So that's what I tend to kind of focus on.
Mm-hmm. It's about bringing the group together, definitely.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That sounds a lot like some of Crimson's characters.
Look, I wasn't gonna say it, so don't call me out in the stream.
Even the way that you said it sounds very much like the way Crimson.
I think Crimson and I need to be friends. Yeah.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, my character Ash on Malhaven she has a 9mm, a 7.62. She has a rifle. She has a Bowie knife, a sword, obsidian sword, a blessed sword, handcuffs, road flares, and she's in like a World of Warcraft area right now. So it's very medieval. So people are like, we need weapons, and she's like, ugh.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Yep. I got it.
They're like, aren't you a hacker? Look, I don't judge you, okay? You want a sword? Get a sword.
I'm multifaceted, damn it.
Yeah. All right, awesome. So let's talk charity. Everyone here has run charity TTRPG streams. How do you choose the charity to raise money for, and what kind of incentives do you give your audience to donate?
Hallie, why don't we start with you on this one? Because I know I found you through your charity events. So
That's right. I forgot. I don't even remember how that happened. Joe just showed up one day, and I was like, "Hey, new friend."
He does that. He just
yes.
pops out of nowhere. He's like in your closet, and he pops out like, "I heard you do TTRPGs. Why are you in my house?
What's going on? Oh God."
I do a lot of
Todd.
lurking. That's true. Yes.
That's fair.
Second agrees. Joe's like that.
We started in 2018. I totally forgot that was the thing. For our first streamed game, we did a Halloween charity event for Extra Life. Because things are built in there and the system is really easy to pick up and you don't have to do a lot of back end work, and it was a good cause, and we thought, well, we need to just do this. And then we started kind of looking around and seeing what other charities needed assistance, and we worked with the Trevor Project. And for us, being a very large international group, we wanted to make sure that we were doing work with charities that help on that international scale. It's very easy as an American to pick US only charities, and I want to make sure that we're reaching out and helping folks in other parts of the world as well. So that's been kind of our baseline moving forward, is making sure that we're picking these charities that provide assistance in other places, or like now with COVID and with Black Lives Matter, making sure that we're helping there, and just trying to pick relevant charities that people can understand and really focus on.
Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, okay. Our charity events started with Extra Life, and we kind of built a connection with Extra Life because I have a connection personally to Riley, and some of our founding members have a connection to the Children's Hospital in Akron. So we've kind of developed ourselves into there's no official connection with the Nerd Asylum and Extra Life, but we tend to kind of focus on our Extra Life events. All the streams that we do are now interactive streams where you can donate to the Extra Life Hospital of the Year. We choose a different hospital each year based on community votes, and then each stream and podcast that we do kind of links up with our Extra Life campaign for the year. Currently, we're doing Dell Children's Hospital in Austin, Texas, and that's our current one. I think last year we did Akron, and then the year before we did Riley. So this will be our third year with Extra Life, and we also like to kind of branch out and help with other charity events to make sure that we're not just focusing on one charity. Even though that's kind of our charity, we like to help other people with their stuff.
We do a lot of charity stuff. We only do one that's a TTRPG charity, and I chose Extra Life, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, so CHOP. And I did it for a couple reasons. One, I have a 5-year-old. So knock on flake board, whatever this is made out of. I need to take her to CHOP, but it makes me happy to know that it's there if I do need it. Two, I've met with the people who run what we donate. So when we donate to CHOP, it all goes to a specific group that is there for the mental health of the children that are there. So we're not donating for syringes and stuff like that. Everything that we round up gets Xboxes and toys and iPads and stuff like that to keep kids while they're in the hospital, be it for 7 hours or 7 days, 7 weeks. And the main reason is because I have seen some of the happiest children that have come out of CHOP, and raising money for them. When I go and talk to people about it, people stop me all the time and they're like, "Oh, CHOP helped me this way." So that has been a big influence on it. I'm also really competitive with raising money for charity. So and so is the leader of the local CHOP guild, Extra Life Guild. So that is also a bunch of it. I insist that we need to raise more money than other people. Whatever keeps me going for charity. But some of the stuff that we like, the incentives that we give are like, you can, like, we do advantage, disadvantage for everybody, including the DM, or auto successes, or we even do like, I think Orson did for the last one was like, you could have a rule that's for the floor that we were on. So like, there's so many different things because we do a new setting or a new area every year, a new we rotate DMs.
I think that was the one that got the most donations too.
Mm-hmm.
Making up a rule. So basically,
like we all had to say moist.
Thanks, Val.
So yeah. So like, sorry, something was running upstairs. Yeah, so I think the only thing I can really touch on, since Crimson takes care of most of the actual where the charity stuff goes to and whatnot, so I just defer to her on that. The only thing I can say about actual incentives and things like that is make sure, like, try to step out of the box, get creative, okay? See what you can come up with and give it a try. So if you are running a charity stream, just try different things and see what works. It's okay to have something that doesn't work. And then know not to try it again or change it. So I think, like I said, creating rules for the game that people had to follow. And I think one of them was like, people had to like talk like, or they made me talk like an old woman, my old woman voice for an entire, floor. So I was like, come to me, my pretties, and touch the little buttons. And they're just like, And, so you do that kind of stuff, and that seemed to really work. So if you are running these sorts of things, try to get creative. Just step out of your box, do a little bit of brainstorming, think about, would this possibly work? And always be open to input.
Well, I think what is most successful when we do our streams, it tends to be the role-playing stuff. It's like people will easily throw $5 donation in because they want to, and they'll just use like our advantage disadvantage system. They're like, I'm throwing $5 in, so give this person advantage. But the role-playing aspects of things seem to get the most. The things that are going to make it weird or funny, that usually is what gets us the most money. So it's a little bit less about the rules and technicalities, and it's more about like what's going to screw everybody over or what's going to sound funny. Or the second year we did it when they made Kim just do voice after voice after voice because she was in theater. So
and if you see an opportunity, attach yourself to it. Definitely. And that's what we did when we did the stream with D&D Grandma. We had there was the DM team and there was the player team, and we started kind of like pushing that. And it basically started a bidding war.
It did. It got real bad.
And things like that to the DM, and then like half of our audience was DM team, half of our audience was player team, and they were all like keep outbidding each other and so on. And it sounds corporate, I guess, but everybody kind of, we pit everybody against each other, and everybody had a really great time, and we made a lot of money for charity.
Yeah, we did.
So
get competitive for charity.
Yeah. But involving the audience, making sure that they have some sort of creativity for themselves really does make a big difference.
All right, awesome. So this is our last question. So if anybody listening has questions, post it in the panel questions because we're definitely going to have some time for Q&A.
I already wrote down Jorka Masters question that they had earlier.
Yeah, and they just sent it again too.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to those who are thinking of breaking into the TTRPG stream game?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just
Don't
do
try
it.
to get famous.
No.
Mhm.
Don't
it
if you're
for
going
fun.
in, yeah, do it for fun. If you're going in to try to make a name for yourself, you're starting out wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Kind of branching off of that, don't be discouraged by the numbers. I know a lot of people pay attention to follower count, viewer count. You know, it's really hard in today's society because we are in the age of content. Anybody and everybody can broadcast. If you have access to broadband internet, you can create content and put it out there on the internet, which leads to a vast, vast ocean of content to wade through for someone to find yours. So don't be discouraged when you only have 1 or 2 viewers. That's 1 or 2 people that are dedicating, 2-3 hours of their time to watch your stream. So, like you said, don't go in it to be famous. Just do it because you want to. And if you put good content out there and you're having fun, people will see that and they'll find you.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm gonna kind of contradict everybody else here a little bit, just a little bit, because I really feel like you should understand your personal goals. Okay, if you want to try to do this to be famous, understand what that means. Okay, piggybacking what Joe was saying about, there's so much content out of there, and going on that path of how to differentiate yourself from every other person's content, so just understand your goals as a person, as what you want to stream, right? What you want out of it, and go from there.
I think we do it like well, I can't say for Orson who runs his, but I think that most of us do it to just tell the story and have fun. Which is what it comes down to, is the most important thing for everybody involved. So as long as we, the players, are having fun and the DM is having fun, then people watching will have fun. We've streamed to 2 people, we've streamed to 20 people, and we have the same amount of fun regardless of who's there. So it's all about just getting over that nervousness of like, oh God, I'm going to stream and I have a camera on. Just get over that and just jump into the deep end, jump into the cold water and do it. And then have fun. Turn off the numbers, don't have one person look at chat. Don't pay attention to it. You're there to have fun. So that's your focus. That somebody always can look at chat, somebody can do all of that stuff, all that tech stuff, but you're there to have fun. So that should be, in my opinion, that should be your main focus. Take your table to the computer and just have a blast.
I'm actually going to piggyback off of what Crimson said too, because it's work. There's tech work, there's balancing work, and if you try to take all that on yourself, like I'm the one who runs the stream for us, so I do the same thing. Someone's paying attention to chat. I don't have time for that. I'm trying to run a ding dong game over here, okay? I don't have time to be looking at chat. Like, go over there and do that.
That's hard enough.
Yeah. I'm trying to make sure everyone's levels are okay and do all of that fun stuff. Split the work. Delegate. Let people, if someone wants to handle chat, if someone wants to handle bots in Discord, like, let people split some stuff up, because if you take all that on, you're going to burn out so fast. And it goes back to that whole adage, like, the DM is a player too. The DM has to be having fun. So if the DM is running the stream, someone else can pick up some work and help out there, for sure.
Yeah, with us, Lost, Vel runs. He's the DM. I run the chat. I keep an eye on the chat, and I run the actual stream part, and making sure everything's done that way. And I think for Orson runs the stream. I don't know what the chat situation is. Thank you. So we're missing a muffin and a donut.
That's about it.
4 hash browns instead of 2.
Okay, have a hash brown then.
I think in our
Oh, I'm
stream,
sorry, I thought I muted.
for our streams for like Alabaster Forest, I think Vonry tends to take care of the chat pretty much.
I do. Yeah.
As well as the social media. I get everything else set up and whatnot, and go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely splitting up the work is very helpful.
My one suggestion is, like, if you have a dedicated friend or fan or something like that that you trust to, like, keep chat going, that is my biggest suggestion, because there are a lot of times that it's us as the player, and I'm in the middle of a fight scene, or I look over and somebody asked a question 5 minutes ago, but and nobody answered because I was invested in the stream. So that would be my one thing. Like, if you do have, like, I don't care if it's your brother, your cousin, your neighbor, if you can get somebody to sit and chat who's interested in watching the game and answer questions and just talk to people that come in or say thanks to people who follow, that would be wonderful. But apparently these are like diamonds in the rough. I can't find one yet. We're working on it, but
and that's like tenfold as a dungeon master, right? Because you take care of literally everything that's going on other than the players.
Never put too much on your
times that
DM.
I'm juggling like 7 monsters, terrain, and wondering what's going on in the rooms down the hall or whatever. And I don't know, like, nobody in our group expects me to be talking in chat and stuff like that. So that's good. But like, imagine trying to then keep an eye on chat and talking in the chat, and then keeping an eye on your OBS to make sure that everything is running. You're not dropping frames, double checking audio every once in a while to make sure nobody's suddenly quieter. Because as we all know, there's always audio issues that just sort of randomly happen.
Thanks for calling me out on that.
No, we just called all of us out.
Totally was not thinking of you, Joe. Totally, I promise.
No, that's fine. At least once a stream.
Yep.
Yeah,
and help each other out.
Yeah, one of my big things is making sure that the DM doesn't have too much to do, because I'm the one who wanted to make sure that these are streamed. So it, like, was with Lost and stuff like that. My husband was like, "I'm not touching it. You do it." And I'm like, "All right, fine," because it was my idea. So I take care of that. But as he said, like, as Holly said and as Orson said, one, the DM is also a player. But two, they're controlling so much. So you need to take as much off of their shoulders as possible. I guarantee you, streaming it is way easier than running it. Anybody can stream it. Anybody can set that up. Anybody can check on the tech issues. But the DM has the most work to do. So if you can take that off of your DM's shoulders, then do it.
Just real quick, how often do you think you spend? How many hours do you spend prepping a week for your like one adventure?
Okay, I'll use my charity game tomorrow as an example. Probably 6.
Yeah, that's definitely higher than me. Joe,
I'm
what about
7
you?
hours prepping for my games.
I feel extremely underprepared now that I've heard all that, because 90% of it, I've read the Curse of Strahd book.
Okay.
And 90% of it is all wing it from there. So,
Holly, are you doing a homebrew?
I have a problem with I have this really bad habit of taking modules and then completely just and taking like 2 maps out of it and going, and we're gonna just mess everything else up. Yeah, well, and tomorrow's charity game is intentionally meant to kill the players, and they know this. Yeah. So it's like traps, but on average, it's probably 3 to 4. But for like real trap heavy, meat grindery one shots, it's a lot more.
And I would say for a 4-hour session, which is our typical session, I probably prep about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours. And I do that,
we
often.
can't predict what they're doing.
Now that
nobody
can
predict what your players are going to do.
What about follow-up? Like, everybody does a lot of prep, but what I do is I'll wing the session, and then I'll go back and watch the VOD and take notes on what happened and what people said, so that the next time I have something to tie into.
Right.
Or
if
take
we're
notes
counting that
if you
as
can.
prep, then I do go through and watch the streams. So
that 100% counts, I think, as DM prep.
I guess that's like week early prep.
Yeah. So that works too, Yeah. So there is a lot that goes into it as somebody that's running, and as well as the players. I don't want to take away from the players as well, because there's a lot that goes into that. But yeah,
I just figure out how I'm going to
really
mess your world
taker.
up. What can I do to piss everybody off today?
What can I do? You know, let's believe the smiling demon person rather than the helpful other person.
Let's
Right.
let's make Orson sigh on stream and make that face he makes when we make a bad decision as a group.
It's this. This is it.
It's that. That is it. We're gonna dig up a dead body. No, it's a terrible
Why?
idea.
What?
What are you doing?
So this fey creature can possess the baby the dead child or whatever it was. I can't, like, it was a dead dwarf person.
Oh,
Every
man.
time he leaves for a week and then comes back, he's like, "All right, what'd you do this
Chaos.
time?" I think Vel plans for those, and like he makes it an extreme situation. So when Orson comes back, it's unbelievable what we've done. And I'm like, no, wait, we didn't have any options. It sounded like a good idea at the time.
Last words, famous last words.
So we do have a few questions from our listeners. The first
excited.
one from Jorka Master. Sorry if I said that incorrectly. Has anyone dealt with live streamers using voice modulation, and how was the response to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
I have not.
It's yeah.
What's really good is when they don't tell you they're gonna do that.
Right? And scare the shit out of you?
We have one for Sunday. Our Heroes of Hillsfar. He's a Warforged, and he uses the voice modulator to sound like a Warforged. And I was not notified that he was going to do that, and he just did it, and I was like, yes.
Our keeper for Monster of the Week, Steve, you brilliant bastard. When we were fighting demon turkeys, decided to make a demon turkey noise through a voice modulator.
Nice.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. It's you can see it in the game if you want, but it's a thing. But the problem was that because it was such a deep guttural thing, the stream hated it tech-wise. So it would cut in and out, and he was like, "I'm just gonna not do that anymore." It worked, and then it didn't.
Yeah. Vinny, who runs our Malhaven game, the Zombie Master for our Malhaven game, has used one on occasion, and I've told him to stop. For a couple of reasons. One, when it comes like to the higher pitched sounds, we as people can't always pick it up. And it's very hard, like a high pitch, it's very hard to discern what's being said. So if you're gonna do something like that, I'd say play with it off stream. Make sure that it's doing what you want it to. Make sure that people can hear it and everything. And maybe warn people ahead of time, because sometimes the volume's a little off and it'll scare the shit out of your players, and they may pee themselves a little bit because, you know, they're a mom and gave birth, and that's not fun at all. Talking for a friend, not me, obviously.
But I think that was good advice. Please test things before you just throw them out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and invest in it.
It's
Don't
okay to
just
try
run free
things
roll.
too. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if the stream, it's fine if we can understand you, but if the stream sure as hell can't understand you, it's helping nobody.
Yeah.
So this next question is from Valentine Gunner 003 from Twitch. How do you guys work on not saying or How do you cut out those placeholder words?
Yeah, I don't. You just let it ride.
Does anybody have a count?
Maybe we
For
should
this
stop.
entire thing?
If we did that during stream, it would be terrible.
We'd have to have a
'Cause they're
mod
like-
in there.
They're like, Kethra, what do you do?
I've noticed if
Does
I
anybody need
slow
to be
myself down and let myself think, because my mouth will move a lot faster than my brain will.
Mm-hmm.
So if I slow myself down, if I find myself saying if I slow myself down and talk with a slower cadence, my brain can keep up with my mouth, and it tends to come out a lot smoother. So that's the
I'm the
one
opposite
thing
for me.
that I can do to counteract that. But most of the time, I just talk really fast and it just comes out, and I stutter. And
For sure.
I have a character that we're gonna use for our live show, and she blurts out words very quickly. That's the only time I don't say I play her in another game, and that's the only time I don't say is when I am speed talking. Other than that, I feel like I'm constantly caught off guard. Even if I'm paying attention, it's like, okay, my turn's next, my turn's next, my turn's next. Cuthbert, what are you doing? Shit.
yep, even if you're prepared, you're like, what was I just thinking?
Like
Yeah,
I was suddenly surprised that I'm in a TTRPG is what it feels like all the time.
There's such an odd backlash, and I think some of it's generational to using those placeholder words, because psychologically that is your brain giving yourself time to think and to come up with the next space. Now, can they distract? Absolutely, because there are folks who use those words every other word, and it can get a little like, okay, maybe we do need to slow down just a little bit, or maybe we need to work on this some. But I don't like that backlash. It feels kind of weird to me. And at the same time, it's part of speech, and speech and language evolve over time as well. So there's nothing wrong with them. See, I just did it because I'm giving myself space to think and a minute to figure out what my next sentence was going to be. So for me, and I have a weird background because I did a lot of public speaking. I still do as part of my job. And if you find yourself that you're saying that every other word, sometimes writing things out or prepping just a little, even as a player, you can do this. It's okay to read it. If someone gets on your back for reading something while you're playing a game and reading out loud, screw that. I do it all the time. It can help sometimes. It's a nice little trick that I've found.
Definitely.
Okay.
So being somebody that had a speech impediment, okay, I would stutter when I was younger. The filling of a conversation with us and ums is just how I learned or was taught to deal with it, because I have to pause anyway. And if I keep just going and going, I'll start and getting stuck on words. So I will often have those filler words. So yeah, that's it.
I agree. There's nothing wrong with them.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it either. And if it is something that you really want to focus on and you really want to change for whatever reason, there's a lot of resources out there to help you with it.
Yeah. Even as a streamer outside of TTRPGs, the amount of times I say and is just astounding. But I'm a human being and I have to think about the things that are going to come out of my mouth, because you sure as shit don't want things just coming out of my mouth. That's bad.
We are running out of time. The next question is, what would you say is too much prep?
Always leave blanks for your players to fill in. Anything outside of that, is okay, I would think.
I think it comes with
create an outline. That's it.
Yeah, it comes with practice. I used to over prep constantly when I was first running a campaign because I didn't know what I was doing. And I thought I had to have everything. And then just as I got used to the players and got used to their cadence and how the things that they wanted to do, they're very RP heavy. So I would just go, okay, well, if they decide to go this way, then I guess the temple's over here. And I spend more time with maps and terrain than I probably do making notes, because I want those to be visually interesting. And so I spend most of my time there.
I think basically on those lines is, you can prep all you want. You can spend 100 hours doing prep for your campaign. Just know that 90% of that will not happen.
Yeah, Vinny quotes what is it? Somebody from one of the DC shows, and it's like, have a plan, wait for the plan to fail, throw the plan out. That's how he runs his TTRPGs. Yeah. And it's like, make a plan, have everybody screw up the plan, throw the plan out, go to plan B. So
I would say there's no such thing as too much prep until it becomes detracting from the rest of your life. If you're spending more time prepping for a game than you are spending time with your friends or your family and enjoying yourself, I think that might be an issue. but you can always reuse things that you prepare for and your players don't use. You can put it back into the stream later. So I don't know that there's anything that's too much prep until you get to the point where it is starting to affect the rest of your life. I think that would be the cutoff for me.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah. I mean, if that's what you do, though, go for it. And if it doesn't really affect you, go for it.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, if you can spend 20 hours prepping and it doesn't detract from anything else, go for it.
Yeah, go for it. But just like you said, know that most of that, is probably not going to happen. Don't let it be don't set it in stone, right?
Yeah.
And just understand that things are going to change. Your
It's
players
not a
are not going to follow your linear path.
Right. It's a living, breathing thing. Yeah.
And then you can move stuff in front of them too. So
The
players are
second you
always on
set it
rails,
in
they just don't know it yet.
Yeah, the second you set it in stone, it's like, well, we're really interested in this door right here that you told us about that has nothing to do with anything now. So we're
Like
going to
this
go over
chair.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I
Oh,
really
there's
like
something really
these
interesting
boots.
about this chair you just mentioned.
The critical role
Chair.
chair.
Here's the mimic.
I sit in it. What happens? It
You
creaks.
die.
It's a chair.
Oh, it creaks, everybody. It's alive. It's obviously sentient. And you're just like, it's exactly what I meant.
There is also a group out there, support of the other DMs. Just talk about the crazy, dumb stuff your players have done that you regret. There should be.
The next question, that question was from Noir, from Adriac Studios. So this next question is another one from Jorka Master. Is there an LFG website dedicated to GMs or players wanting to play streamed games?
Yes, there is. There is a brand new application called Demiplane app. They just released, and it's kind of, and they're probably going to be mad at me for saying it, but this is the best kind of correlation that I can make. It's kind of like Tinder for TTRPGs. You answer a couple questions about your preference for playstyle, like do you like roleplay, do you like combat, do you like the different aspects, exploration, and they take your answers and they have an algorithm that matches you with games that are set up based on your preferences. And you can find that at demiplaneapp.com. They just released to the public. I've been on their beta, and it's an amazing application. And if you're looking for, you can integrate it with your Roll20, your Fantasy Grounds, your pen and paper. You can use any of those. This is just basically like trying to find a group for game masters and for players. So it's a really awesome, and the algorithm is like spot on. I've actually found quite a few games that are like sound exactly like what I'm looking for. So definitely check that out.
I'm just imagining now everybody's profile pictures are photoshopped images of their sexiest dice sets. It's just like,
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Boudoir shoes.
swipe left on you. Actually, I don't know. How does Tinder work?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is it
I'm
left or
married.
is it right?
I don't know.
But Reddit has an LFG
Yeah.
subreddit, and that's where I found my Tuesday night group. I set out a thing as a dungeon master, and I said, hey, anybody want to play in this thing? I gave it an example of what I'm looking for. I got almost 100 applicants.
Wow.
And as a DM, if you're running games, you will get many people that are interested in playing your game.
Yeah, because there's always more players than DMs. Absolutely. Yep.
And I've got a really cool Tuesday night group that I'm now friends with, and we've been doing it for over a year.
Nice.
If you're looking for like specifically getting in a streamed game, my suggestion is to find people who already stream games, like us. When I have a spot to fill that Real Women of Gaming staff can't fill, I will then look to my Discord and see who's active in my Discord, who's most interested in TTRPGs and stuff like that, who shows up to streams, and then it'd be like, oh, hey, by the way, I have a spot open on Malhaven. Do you want to come? Would you want to come play that? So, like, if there's games that you're ever really interested in, I would like hang out in their Discord and see if they ever open up, because as I said, like sometimes something happens and people just can't play anymore. But I still have seats I have to fill. So that's the first place I go.
Yeah.
Oh no, I just lost all the video.
Yeah, we do that for our charity stuff. We have charity game seats open now. Some of them in Joe's game. I mean, so the Discord's out there, and we're happy to take on new folks. And same kind of thing. If you're curious and you just want to try out a group or a game system for one thing, there are a lot of charity one shots that are open that advertise open seats and take folks on. And it's a nice way to kind of try things out and see what you like. And then if you decide you want to campaign, there are usually recruitments happening. I see a lot of stuff on Twitter where people are like, hey, I got seats open for this thing. So start following streamers on their social media is a good way to do that too.
Yeah. Like
So,
I picked up people in the Not Quite Heroes, and I see people advertising in their Discord all the time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're over on time, but we have one more question. This is from Chris Bake of Extra Life. I need some advice. The main game that I stream has a very select community. It is the same content that everyone pushes out, yet I still average 0 viewers despite good equipment, decent audio quality, great graphics, and realistic content, which is good for the community. Somehow I don't appeal to the community. How can I work on this?
I'd have to see it.
Yeah.
I'd have to
Without
see your
seeing it,
content.
it's really hard to give advice.
Yeah.
I will say that something we've done is we work out mutual hosting with other small streamers and just say, as long, and again, it's one of those things where I got to see your content first, or I have to know what kind of content you're running, because it's got to go by our stream rules of like, basically don't be a dick. Which is kind of the catch-all, but it's deeper than that, but that's kind of the main sentence. So if you're running content and you're running a story and you're not getting viewers, I'm not even kidding. I think we average like 5, and we just don't pay attention to it. Other than when I see it pop up after stream, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. There's 6, fine, whatever. Work out mutual hosting, talk to other streamers, see what they recommend, do stuff like this. Go, hop into panels, create connections. Gamers and streamers are community.
Yeah.
And once you start forming those relationships, which is what we're doing right here, I didn't know some of these folks before this, so now a relationship has been formed. Like,
now you can never get rid of us.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Real Women Gaming is like herpes. We don't leave you alone.
Never.
Again, I will go back to the acronym used to be STD.
Anyway.
So, as a general streaming advice, right? If you look at Twitch, right, how many people have 0, 1, or 2 viewers? How many of us would scroll through 100, 200, 1,000 people to find the perfect stream to find somebody, right? Mm-hmm. So I think what you need to do in general is just, understand what you want to get out of it. Keep making content, get it out there. If you can in any way, bring your audience from elsewhere as well. Whether that means, getting to know lots of different people like we are here, just as Holly had mentioned, right? Whether it means, creating little D&D clip videos and putting them on Twitter or YouTube or whatever. You can get creative, see what you can come up with, and network.
Yeah, network, community, social media, like the getting viewers goes into a whole different conversation about networking and marketing and stuff like that. And that's the hard work outside of the game, is trying to get people there. We streamed Lost to like nobody for a year.
Yep.
And that's fine because we were having fun. Now we can average anywhere. We can average anywhere from 5 to 15 viewers. It depends on the night. It depends on who else is streaming. It depends on how many people posted about it. It depends on how many people have the night off. Are our regulars going to be there? There's so many variables in it. But like we're posting when we do shows, we post on Facebook, we post in our Real Women Gaming group on Facebook, we post in our Discord, we post in other people's Discord, we make sure we talk about it in Twitter, then our players retweet the tweets that we've put out and stuff like that. So
sometimes our players put out their own tweets about it.
Which is always super catchy in my mind when players do their own tweets instead of just retweeting. So I'm terrible at that.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, networking and marketing we could talk about for hours and still never give you the right information.
I will say one more thing. Do not, under any circumstances, do follow for follow, lurk for lurk sort of situations. They do not. They do nothing for you.
Yeah.
Right. No. They, in fact, if you participate in them, they give you a bad. Like if I go into a stream and it says follow for follow, I immediately leave that stream. So I want nothing to do with that.
Yeah. I hope that answers your question, because that's a really, really hard question to answer.
Yeah.
And it's a hard, I feel like that sort of question is a hard question to be nice about too.
Yeah.
You know, I try to be as nice as possible, but when you ask a question about, you know, I want to grow as a community, you know, you got to get yourself out there. You got to work on it. You got to dedicate the time to it. As I'm sure Nerd Asylum and everybody here can attest to, you do a lot of work, a lot of community work, a lot of networking, all that stuff. It takes time. Yeah. And it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, it takes a lot of your daily time as well as a long time. So, but I would like, if you're really, really interested in, I would follow up with everybody's stream that's in here, see what they do, and maybe get some tips that way. Like we're always usually, like I'm always open to talking about it.
Same.
I will say one final thing about that. Make sure you're being genuine. Like Orson said about the follow for follow, and Crimson said about that follow for follow. The problem with that is that it's a hollow thing. They don't want to actually engage and support. They just want the numbers, which kind of harkens back to what I was saying way back early on the panel. The numbers really don't matter. It's the engagement and the community that you're building that you want to focus on. So just be genuine, continue to produce the content, and reach out and find and make friends, because friends will support friends more than a follow for follow or a number system or an algorithm or a community developed to growth. Marketing and networking are kind of some buzzwords, and I really don't like the way those feel, because they feel corporate and disingenuous. And if you're trying to build a community, you want to reach out and just basically find friends. And that has to be motivated by genuine friendship and not just, I want my numbers to be bigger. So keep doing what you're doing, keep producing the quality content, reach out, make friends, engage with their content, kind of follow up with them, you know, and really just engage in their communities, and you'll find that you'll start to grow if you're being genuine.
Yeah, that's how like Joe found us, and so we've had Joe and Nerd Asylum do stuff with us, and the benefit of that is not only are we friends and we enjoy spending time together, but at the same time, like now our reach, like he posts that we're doing something because he's working with us, so that extends our reach, and he extends his reach the same way. Now we're posting about he's going to be there doing things, so there are a lot of ways to do it, but at the end of the day, like Joe is still my friend, and that's what counts. Yeah. Even if I don't talk to him for like 3 to 6 months, because we're both busy.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
We are way over time.
But we are the most important people here.
At least there wasn't another panel like right after us. So.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's why I didn't stop y'all.
Yeah, I checked. I'm like, okay, we're good.
I checked too. Yeah. So be sure to check out everybody here at the links which are on the stream. Real Metagaming, the Nerd Asylum, Orson, and Terrible Party. We're all on Twitch. Real Metagaming is also on Mixer. Check out.
I'm on Twitch.
I have a workshop in 2 hours.
Yay!
The one-shot deconstructed workshop. I definitely recommend that. That was I checked it out at TogetherCon, and it was very helpful.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
I enjoy running it. I mean, I'm sitting here tooting my own horn, like, oh yeah, it's fun, everybody, come along.
I can vouch for it.
Yeah, no, I had a good time doing it. There was a lot of good audience participation, so I was happy with it.
Everybody needs to go in there and tell Orson what a wonderful person he is.
Thanks.
I would say don't do that because it makes Orson uncomfortable. And that's exactly
why I
why
said
Crimson
it.
does it.
I'm a Slytherin.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us in our panel. I know there's a live show that just started up on the live show stage, and then Orson's workshop is in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And the next panel is in an hour.
Yeah, it starts at 2
Cool.
p.m. It's
What is the
RPG
next
to real
panel?
life.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay.
RPGs in real life. Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool.
Yay. And if you have more
Yay.
questions, we're going to be wandering around. So.
Oh yeah, we'll be.
Oh
around.
yeah. I'm around, and we're doing a couple games this weekend in partnership with DralaCon. So we've got some fun stuff this weekend as well that we'll be doing for charity. So yay.
Mhm.
Yay.
Also, I'm
And I think
open to talking to people. So you can even just send me a personal message if you want. I don't
Same.
mind.
Yeah, and we have a live show on Sunday, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And Roman Gaming does have a vendor room down below. So if you need to talk to anybody from Roman Gaming, we'll be hanging out in there. Or you can just ping us or DM us. It's fine. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Now
I'm gonna wave
now
bye
for the
stream.
awkward goodbye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.